Hey everyone, this is my review of Scorpion, Season 4, Episode 7, called Go with the Florence, and essentially what this episode is about is that the team are trying to track down this sort of device that could stop the possibility of this satellite laser from going off and destroying a nuclear power plant. And along with that, Walter sort of has to learn how to just listen to Paige and not trying to solve solutions to everything that Paige encounters and possibly doesn't even need. And the team sort of has to get used to their new neighbor. And this was a really entertaining and interesting episode that had so many great and really kind of fun moments to it. And I really love the idea and sort of thing around everything that was going on in this episode with Walter and Paige and this MI6 agent having to go into the sewers to try and find this little device and stuff like that. That was interesting with them following all these pipes and doing all this different stuff to sort of figure out where this device is. And it was a little annoying how they just seemed to be wandering around and then all of a sudden a solution would pop up with like them being like, okay, we're following this fob and stuff like that. That was really great. But then as soon as they lost it, they didn't like instantly come up with a different solution. They instead sort of were wandering around, like I said, doing nothing, really knowing where they're supposed to go except for maybe possibilities. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh hey, we could use our phone to track the Wi-Fi signal off of this device and stuff like that. The fact that they didn't instantly think of that was just kind of dumb in my mind. The whole moments between Walter and Paige in this episode was really, really terrible in my mind because again and again and again, like I keep saying, I really don't like the idea of Walter and Paige being in a relationship because it just isn't going to work out, and that's just kind of a really annoying will they won't they scenario for this show. And it just felt really kind of dumb every time Walter would just all of a sudden not listen to Paige, and how they would have these conversations but then he just wouldn't understand them, and just it felt like Walter was so dumb. And it just didn't fit his character how he acted in this episode, and I didn't really like that. And especially in that whole scene with like the rat, where literally seconds before this, Paige said to Walter, hey, I'm not comfortable around rats, can you handle this? Essentially is what she said. And he just didn't understand it, so then the minute he jumped for the rat, he's like, oh, go get that! And stuff like that. It's like, what is going on with him? And yes, he kind of sort of learned by the end of this episode what he should say and what he shouldn't, but not really, and that's even more annoying. And then I really enjoyed and really loved the moments with Cabe and Toby in this episode, and them interrogating the guy who created this device that is causing the satellite to attack Los Angeles, and just the different ways that they tried to interrogate him and tried to get like the information out of him about where he's planning to sort of shoot the laser and where in Los Angeles he's planning to attack. Just all that stuff was really fun, really interesting. And then I really loved it because they had to deal with the most about this new neighbor. And I really loved everything with the new neighbor and her being there, which I found really interesting, and how I didn't really think about that before, where they do all this really loud, really annoying sort of stuff, and how have they never been attacked or ever even mentioned the idea of neighbors was really interesting, and I really kind of like her character, and I'm very interested to see where the character of Florence will come in the future. I did not much care for the idea of Sylvester being the one who had to go and catch the rat near the end of this episode, because of course how they were showing it and how they were setting up, of course he would fall in the water and all that different stuff. I just don't understand why they didn't have Happy being the one reaching out with the net, and then Sylvester being the one holding on to the computer being like, hey, okay, the rat's coming now, and stuff like that. I don't understand why they chose to set up the dynamic that way if it was real life. I mean, I understand it from the TV perspective for how they wanted this story to go, but in real life I don't think they would have done that. And then the truth around what this MI6 agent actually wanted out of this satellite, I didn't much care for, because it just felt like such an off, weird part of the story that didn't match up with how everything else was going on. And it kind of made some stuff make sense with how and why they couldn't track the satellite and stuff like that. but still it just felt weird sort of conclusion to wrap up what and why sort of MI6 was around and all that different stuff. I didn't really like it, but it kind of, like I said, it kind of made sense and just blah 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 blah. Then I guess just overall this was a really fun and kind of entertaining episode to watch and see how everything played out, and I'm very curious to see where everything will go in the future. So yeah, that's my review of Scorpion Season 4 Episode 7 called Go with the Florence. So yeah, bye!